Like every day on a deleting spree, like you're out. Really a banning spree, because we be banning people.
Yeah, we don't be kicking
no more for you.
Right.
You're done.
Very rarely kick people out unless they doing some wild stuff. There's been a couple people just doing wild stuff.
I have any special to put in the car. I don't want people to hear that on this. Don't come up and That's a little cigar dip or a wine dip?
Yeah, couldn't tell you.
I think it's a humidor. For cigar.
Some fancy on there on cigar holder.
See, you must call it a humidor.
Okay.
Yeah. Please stop playing with me right now. I'm not. Oh shit, I ain't doing this. I forgot about these. Forgot.
Mm-hmm. My little brother said his little event was yesterday, and he had some people basically to help people get loans and business loans. It was pretty good.
Where was it at?
Right on in the Swiss Bell, right on Monongahela.
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
Right by the library. Teresa, y'all might know Teresa. She was the executive secretary for high school for a long time.
What's her last name?
I don't know. She like sings and stuff. She sings. She be doing shows. Teresa Hawthorne. Teresa Hawthorne.
Oh yeah, I think I know who that is.
Yeah, she was.
I think I'm too far removed.
She wasn't there.
Yeah, I think I'm too far removed from what it is.
I don't know how old she was. She was like, I started singing and something. Hold up, something. Hold up. I was like, hold up. What's that more? I was like, hold up. You were singing in 77? I was like, huh? Hold up, I was born in 79. How old is you? Like, I'm like, how old is you? But she was singing in third grade, though. That made more sense. I'm like, oh, okay, you was in third grade in 70. All right, you made it like you was on Broadway in 77 or something. Like, what? Girl,
You just saying, Marla, don't scare me like that.
Yeah, the mics is hot. We're technically so they don't want the rest of the world to hear whatever you talking about.
Oh, my sister just texted me to call her, please. I'm like, is we at emergency state? What is please? was we in a crisis?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, see.
Oh, that's what's up.
It sure is taking its time, man.
So you try to do everything beforehand. Ain't that's crazy.
There's no such thing as too prepared because it still goes wrong. Like, then why are you popping up? Who asked you to do that? Come on.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Hold on, I'm gonna close it. Maybe there's a glitch in the system. I don't know. It is not. Okay, let's try that again. Alright, pop up. Thank you.
We're not typing.
It will. It'll catch up.
Right.
It'll catch up.
It's like if you're moving and it's like, no, sis, be chilling.
You guys tried that experiment recently? You know, back in the day, you used to go to a cookout or something, and food would drop on the floor. You would see a group of ants actually pick it up and be carrying the little fruit away on the sidewalk or something.
I don't go outside that much to know
when we was kids and stuff.
What did we do? What?
when we used to be at the park, let's say we had cookouts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How when food used to drop on the ground, like you could see the ants actually pick it up and carry it away.
I just used to get yelled at not to pick food.
Nowadays, well, I guess I was the only weirdo that paid attention to that kind of stuff.
I need the. I think I need the Wi-Fi for my app.
Nowadays, when food drop, it ain't even real. So then the animals don't even want it anymore.
I don't remember if I saved it or not.
Cheering.
Thank you, Vicky.
So you only seen that on cartoons?
Oh, girl.
For me, yeah.
Like ants carrying food away that was only on cartoons?
For me, I ain't never paid attention to it that much. Like, for real.
Maybe because I'm just like from another country, so I just
What's going on now? What the fuck is it? Just
key frame rate too low? I don't know. Now the remote.
It's live.
It is live, but I don't know why the key frame rate. Let's not look at that.
Yeah.
I don't want to look at that.
It's always a good time.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that right now. Just in case. Because now the remote's down. The remote was up 3 seconds ago, and now it's like, I don't want to. I could, but why? It is. Like, why is you about to play with me?
I think I'm getting like robot little profiles. We just noticed it's not a real person.
You play Roblox with your kids?
Yeah. Like you know how we be having bots like on social media. They try to sell you stuff or whatever. But then when you respond to it, you can tell it's a bot because how it's answering the questions.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that there's a lot of stuff like that, honestly.
Yeah, like I keep getting a whole bunch of crypto bots. Like people keep sending me messages like about crypto, and it'd be a bot. So it's not like it's not like a person because I'll say, well, I trade stocks already. What kind of stock do you trade? Then it'll be a generic message like, please join our, and I'm like, bro, I just asked a big question. This is a bot.
I'm not gonna stress over. You ready?
I'm ready.
Ready, Freddy. Alright, transition. Hey.
Good evening, everyone.
Welcome to the Social Flex. That's how you feel?
No.
That's where you at?
It went to our live stream, so I guess.
I'm like, that's where you at? Good evening. Welcome to the Social Flex. Thank you for tuning in and joining us.
Yeah.
No. Well, pay attention. Tune in. Read the room.
Today we will be discussing emasculation and what it means and what it means to you as a person. Kind of having a conversation about it. I hear that term used a lot, but before we jump into it, as we always like to do, we definitely like to do introductions, so I guess I'll start. I am Sierra Tompkins. I am 43 and I am single.
I am Carlisa Turner. I am 42 and I am widowed. Hold on, let me switch it before you say anything.
You're that one.
Oh, hold on, give it to me.
Yeah, camera looking at you.
Woo!
Yeah, you're that one.
All right, go ahead. You can tell me.
Right.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? And it's your boy Fawn Angie, aka D Mavs, and I am 44 years old. I'm a single male.
All right, so we'll get into it. I'm pretty sure that we have discussed, like in other conversations within the group, but people feel emasculation is. And I know we kind of looked it up last week, if you joined us last week.
Yeah, the book definition.
So there really is not a book definition of, yeah, not in the term as to like how.
I had something.
Well, is it a newer word in the English vocabulary?
So is this right here, like in Webster?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
I googled it and it gave me some
is.
wild stuff.
What does it say it means? Actually,
I'm about to take me 1 second to switch the thing. I'm trying to do 3 things at once.
People use the word all the time. What's the actual definition of this word?
Definitely hear it used a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So emasculation basically means, to emasculate means to deprive of strength, vigor, or spirit, weaken, to deprive of virility or procreative power, castrate, to remove. The other one has to do with flowers and things like that. So we don't need the plural definition, but those two specifically speak to what we're talking about.
That sounds like something really not good to do to somebody.
Well, no. But sometimes it's a way that you can do it and not be aware. I guess maybe that, you're doing that because you don't know what you don't know. And if you've never been taught these things, then it's easy to fall victim.
I agree with that.
To certain things.
Yeah. They got castrated in that definition. Wow.
Yeah, because so when you like really look it up, it was something that was used like in, and I don't do religion too much, but in the Bible, and if you read about it in there, it means to cut off.
Castrate.
Yeah.
I said that. But also Britannica says, same thing though, to emasculate means to make a man feel less masculine.
I think a lot of times when we use the word the way it's being used now in modern day terms, people don't really get to see how hurtful that behavior can be. Actually, it's such a powerful thing. And when we talk about it, it's like, you emasculated him. It's like, it's no big deal. Nah, you castrated him. That's huge for men. Like, from a man's perspective, to be castrated is huge, right? Because you can't no longer reproduce. Society will look at you in a different way, even, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's really powerful, but a lot of times when people use it, they don't realize that what they can do to somebody is that hurtful.
Well, I mean, look, I'm trying to say this without it being taken the wrong way. I don't think that people's intent in some of these conversations is to emasculate.
I agree.
Or is it? If you're hypothetically, if you're in a dispute with someone, or an argument with someone, some people don't like to lose.
Which is true.
Don't like to be wrong. So what is the easiest thing? If a female's arguing with a man, what is the easiest thing to attack?
His manhood.
His masculinity.
Yeah. A lot of times it's a strategy that works a lot. You're right. So a lot of times they don't know that they'll hurt the man so viciously.
And that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But they use those tactics not knowing how hurtful they are.
And they
don't mean to hurt them on purpose.
Right. It's like
that's what I'm saying. They don't know how vicious the tactic is.
The maliciousness behind it. They don't know how malicious the word.
They think it's playful, but it's really malicious. For a man's nature, for the nature of a man, because how you have to interact with him after you've potentially taken away his masculinity might not ever be the same no more. And you're thinking he was just playing, and he's like, oh, you didn't cross the line. I can't never be the same no more. I can't look at you the same anymore. How you talk to me like that? But
again, I think like in those situations that those deserve, like especially if it's relationship based, those deserve those hard conversations. That hard conversation is like, it didn't make me feel good. And I know a lot of times men, because they are so masculine, they don't know how to come out of that.
Even having that conversation, according to most men in society, is getting in your feelings. So sometimes it's tough for guys to be like, okay, I'm supposed to get my feelings now. You know what I mean?
Well, they also like I've also heard conversations where, and I've been like I said, I've been in all different types of podcasts, group chats, all different kinds of stuff, where it has actually been said that women use men's vulnerability to emasculate them.
I would.
So again,
I've seen it.
So again, it's like, okay, where do we connect the dots? Like, what is the connecting factor so that men, even in a general conversation, if I say something to you that might be hurtful or harmful, that you could feel, I guess, vulnerable enough to be like, yo, that was very hurtful to me.
But
and
also,
I don't mess with that.
Is it possible that sometimes a man is being hypersensitive? Like, because you know how it is. Like, some men don't like to be challenged at all.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? You can't disagree with them at all. And it's like the minute you disagree with them, like, oh, you're taking something from them as a man. Which, you know what I'm saying? So, I don't think everything equates to emasculation. I do understand how some points can be, you know what I mean? Like, harmful. Respect to that. You know what I'm saying? But again, that takes awareness, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And respect. A baseline level, basically.
I've had been around women who have made me feel a certain type of way. Now, I'm a very confident person. I have high self-esteem, and what I would feel like is I wouldn't particularly want to be around that specific person, but it wouldn't make me feel like less of a person altogether. But I just wouldn't enjoy that person's company anymore because the energy would be weird because I wouldn't know how to approach them because I'm a man's man. So when I approach people, I approach somebody like a man. So if this person tried to emasculate me, you know what I'm saying, which means they don't like how I approach them, and so that I just won't approach them anymore.
Well, so
I was just avoid approaching that person.
So I can understand more what you mean.
Like if I'm having a conversation with you, right, and it gets into we may not agree, right? And then remember the situation where you said, well, some women may not back down; they want to win the conversation, but it might get to that point, and she's like, well, I'm gonna make him feel bad to win, right? And when someone does that to me, I don't like cower out in the room or nothing. I just won't engage with that person no more because I know I was raised not to be disrespectful.
Right.
So the next thing is you try to put me under you. So my next fight would be to disrespect you, to get back. So I'd rather just not even approach you anymore because I don't like to be disrespectful.
Yeah.
So I'll just pretend like you're not even in the room no more.
So
how I handle that, you know what I mean? Because I don't want to, you know.
In that example, where you're saying like they want you to be under them, and you're just like, I'm washing my hands.
Yeah, I'm washing my hands.
I don't want nothing to do with it. Could it be in a sentiment where, like you say, you cross paths again, and again, maybe that person at the time like was in their feelings, and they come back around and be like, you know what, I apologize.
Well, apology is going to be accepted because that's them acknowledging that what they did.
Maybe.
But that doesn't happen.
Apology without works is bullshit.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
but half the time you can't even get them to acknowledge that they said something wrong. Or
sometimes they don't. So maybe it may take somebody else who's like third party to go like, yeah, girl, I like you and all. I was going to tell you a little bit wrong talking to that man. Right. You know, that was a little bit out of line.
It's hard to see it yourself. It usually does take third party.
And it's. And again, coming from a female's perspective, because there was just a lot of different things that went through my head that I was like, dang, that probably could have been emasculation if somebody looks at it a certain type of way.
Yeah.
What is considered, like, what are some other things subconsciously that are considered emasculation that a female may not pick up on?
It's an alarm. I can't control alarms. I'm sorry. It's on silent.
Like if you,
I'm not breaking the rules. I swear. Hey, Kev, you want to talk about emasculation with us?
There are some.
He's like, nah, I'm good.
I'm going back downstairs. I'm head on that.
Usually the ones that really are tough is when you're around your fellas and there's a certain expectation, you know what I'm saying, and your woman says something that makes you feel not as manly in front of your homeboys.
I mean,
or in front of her girls.
But that can be anything, though, right?
Yeah, so you got to be
I
cautious.
think it's smart to have those conversations in mixed company. Like, I'm me.
Like
that was a learned thing I had to learn to do.
Yeah.
There was a time that I would argue publicly, and you know what I mean. I'm very outspoken. You know, I speak my mind. If I think it and I feel it, I'm not afraid to say it, right? Especially to your face. Like, that's just what it is. Right. However, I had to learn, you know what I mean, that there's a time and place for everything. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I can let you know I don't like what you did or what you said without being like, so what the fuck you think was cool? You thought that shit was cool? Yeah. So you little ass thought that you could just sit out here and fucking disrespect me? Like, I don't have to do that. I can kind of cut her out or go, oh, okay.
I got a good example of something that happened.
I'll holler at you at the house.
We'll have this conversation a little later.
This is a good example. I've coached, so I've seen lots of parent interactions at practice, right? So one time I have a parent. This is the male, the father. He came to the practice to watch his child. Him and the mother, I'm guessing, they were sharing custody or whatever, and so they would meet at practice,
co-parent,
do that kind of co-parent thing.
Co-parent.
And so one particular instance, you know, everybody was on the field. The dad was there. The mom pulled up and just started throwing all the dad stuff in the parking lot.
That's too much.
Basically kicking him out in the street at practice with everybody to see. That's a perfect example of emasculation because that's something that could have been done privately. You know what I'm saying? Mm. But no. She drove up to the practice field, packed his stuff into the car, and threw his stuff out into the parking lot in front of everybody. That is emasculation.
That is emasculation, but I also like to kind of, and again, this ain't nobody's business, but sometimes the backstories, like, you know, for every action there's a reaction. So
that's still too much. You're never going to justify to me packing your car, driving up to the football field
to practice,
and throwing that man shit in the street
in front of all the men
on the lawn at your house where y'all live at.
Right.
Maybe I still think that's a bit.
That's a stretch,
but. Okay,
she wanted everybody to know it was good.
So that's not accidental.
That was literally meant to embarrass.
She wanted to destroy that man.
Yeah.
And so in that case, that's premeditated.
To be a laughing stock,
right? That's premeditated.
And it worked.
So I can't co-sign that because you sat there and premeditated the way to try to destroy that man. Not only did you want him to know he's wrong, you wanted everybody to know he's wrong. And then how's he gonna make it in that community again? He can't never live that down. That's not.
It's not just that. The whole world be that now. Because you done live streamed it and fed with this shit. Yeah. Now all people.
Yeah, that's like having Dookie Draws in third grade. They can see you 20 years later. They're going to be like, hey, that's that kid in Dookie Draws in third grade.
But I mean, like, so I get that because that, again, that's community based. So that's on another level of people just kind of being in something that they really don't need to be in. But it also causes embarrassment on the kid.
Yeah, it embarrasses the whole family. So in my eyes, the woman that's perpetrating this behavior, they don't see that it's hurting their home, it's pulling their whole family down. You know what I mean? Like their prestige in the community. When you emasculate your man, it actually pulls your whole family's prestige down. Because they're going to say, oh, you with that weak man. You chose that weak man. So when you emasculate your own man, sometimes you're pulling your whole family down, actually.
So I guess the next question is like, what's the difference between emasculation and really proving a point?
So there's a way to get your point across without being disrespectful or emasculated and putting somebody else down. You know what I mean? There is a way to do that. There is a way to communicate your frustration or disdain with a situation without tearing the very fiber of a man down, or any person down for that matter. But since we're talking about men specifically, there is a way to pull his coattails. Like, listen, you may not agree today. Hell, you might not agree next year. But at some point, I need you to know that I was not okay with the way you did X, Y, Z. or the way you said blah blah blah, it made me feel like I interpreted it as. You know what I'm saying? Now, if he want to make that a rah-rah situation, you have a right to choose what you participate in.
Yeah. Do you think there may be a connection between because a lot of mothers have been doing the child rearing of the boys and the girls? So do you think, because I know, like, sometimes women may not know what emasculates a man. Men definitely know what embarrasses a woman. If you was raised, pretty much, majority of the people who was raised by their mother, there's certain things you're not going to say about your woman in front of a crowd of people, because you'll know what, you know what I'm saying, they're going to look at her differently after that, right? You're not going to talk about her body in a group of everybody, right? There's certain things you're just not going to do as a man.
I've seen it.
Right? And the men who do that, right, they're not probably going to keep that girl too long, unless she has low self-esteem, because you're not going to put your woman down in front of people, and men usually know the type of things that would hurt or embarrass their woman in front of the crowd.
And vice versa.
So emasculation is that other end of it for a woman. That's kind of what I'm saying.
Well, it wouldn't be considered emasculation, but yeah, we can be definitely, that knife can cut both ways.
Yeah, there's definitely a voice that punches in your shoulder, like, hold up, you better not say that about her. She ain't never give you no more booty. Like, you know, it's the guy with what you can't even say. I mean, that was being funny, but you kind of know, boy, if I say that,
but
I can't, it's a wrap. So I don't understand how women don't get that same gut feeling, like, well, if I say that,
about that. So
say
you have to first remember that women are emotional beings, right? So we're way more, like I said, emotion driven than, I don't know if it's way more, but we tend to be more emotion driven than the average man, right? So going back, if we go back a few episodes when we talked about what makes a man, and woman, and I mentioned things about like man law. You know what I'm saying? Through, my time on this earth, I've dated a various, different fellas in their different phases and stages of life, right? And I dated one guy who was very heavy on man law. And one thing that he believed wholeheartedly that was man law was that a man should never argue with a woman. And his reasoning was because you can't win. You can't win no argument with no woman. Don't even waste your time. Just don't bother. State your piece and keep it pushing. And was how he felt about that.
There's a lot of. I'm noticing now. I'm not going, like, now there are more males that I encounter now are like, I'm not arguing for what. Like, if you still feel this way later, we can talk about it. But what I'm not about to do is argue.
So to that, I'll say that women tend to store information, right? You piss us off, and we store, and then when you come in, when you're frustrated and that's something that we've done, you're like, I didn't like that you did it. Motherfucker, you don't like it. Well, what about when you did?
You pulled out receipts. Doing this thing.
But then that becomes part of the emasculation, because
and so now you're like, you don't even know what battle you're fighting, which I understood why he said
guy, how that feels as a man. It's like, why didn't you say this at a different time?
And my husband was like, don't store no information. You mad at me? Be mad at me right now.
Something that's really on my heart, and it's really serious, and I'm saying it to you, and then you move the goalpost. That's what men call moving the goalpost.
Right, but it
can be frustrating. Because you never get to,
and now she's so frazzled.
Yeah.
Because now all of her, because like I've stored all this information for you.
Right.
I didn't bring every little thing that ticked me off about you.
Right.
I left a pot on the stove, and now you want to come in here flipping like I don't do shit around here. I don't do shit. You don't pick up your socks. You don't pick up your drawers. You got fucking skid marks in the motherfucking dirty son of a bitches. I got hand wash them before I machine
that strategy in itself is emasculating. If I could try to describe it, it's almost like we don't get too much chances to vent, because men don't really like to complain a lot anyway. So when we finally get to a point where, I'm gonna let her know what she been doing, and then you're like, no, you're not gonna let me know. So it's like he never gets to let you know his man feeling. So that's emasculating.
But I think that's a part of the building process. These are things that keep in the forefront of your mind when you're in the dating process and the relationship building process. Like, listen, I know women tend, in my experience, and don't make it a her problem, but like in my experience, I know women tend to store information. All I ask is that if I do something to upset you or offend you, that you communicate that to me then.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't have to be an argument, but I would like to know if I've done something to you. I don't want to find out 6 months later.
Or wow.
Yes, or when I'm frustrated at something, maybe you've done it now. I got to deal with a attitude of your problem with me. Like, damn, that's how you feel?
Yeah. But what men really, like, I feel like they need to basically subconsciously kind of see is that when we come to you, I think a lot of times males take it as complaining or nagging. And it's not, it's me really trying to let you know what my feelings are, and not necessarily pertaining to you. This is my feeling.
Right.
So when you come back defensive to me because I'm telling you how I feel, it's like, now I got a story. Mm-hmm. So, and then it's like, as a man, it's sad, like, y'all don't like to vent to women because y'all are afraid of the emasculation, it getting thrown back. So it's kind of like,
but that goes both ways as well. I know men that'll throw some shit in your face in a heartbeat.
A lot of times
they gotta can't wait to throw some shit in my face, like oh, but like you share some of your traumas with them, and then when you're in a dispute, it's like, that's why, and I believe that. I can see why that nigga was punching you in the face. I see a motherfucking man do that. I see why that nigga was punching you in the face.
So
like, damn.
I've actually had someone tell me, like, in the midst of us not agreeing, like, I apologize because I'm a nice person.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck?
That's interesting.
I never said nothing else about it. But again, like she said, I stored it. Mm-hmm. And then one day I just was like, you ain't never gotta fucking apologize to me again. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm so good off of it. Like, I'm good.
Oh man. Sometimes you never know what your woman's feeling, but you gotta pay attention to these things. I remember one time I was at a Greyhound. We was at a Greyhound station about to catch a Greyhound in another city, and my woman, she was buying a ticket. You know what I'm saying? I gave her the money. She went to go get the ticket, right? And she had a little situation with a gentleman at the counter. Now I'm watching the whole situation go down because I'm like, whoa, he better not put hands on her. He better not say nothing wrong. He better not raise his voice, right?
She probably expected you to step in.
She cussing him out though. She cussing him clean out. So I'm like, okay, my girl cussing him out. I'm gonna watch and see if this dude trip out because I'm coming from the backside. You feel me? I'm catching him if he tries. No, this dude was like, he just ate it, right? She told him off and he ate it. Okay, so I'm like, well, I didn't need to do nothing. My girl handled that. I was there to have her back. Just what you said, Carlos. We had a conversation afterward. She still was upset at me for not.
Didn't say anything.
She wanted me to crash that dude. She wanted me to crash in and say something.
So I think that. So there's that saying that men are supposed to provide, profess, protect, right? And I think that there's going to be a large disconnect in what the protection piece of that looks like to each individual person. When I was married to my late husband, I struggled with that with him in the beginning because I came from a world where my father would angel about my mom without a second fucking thought. Like he did not play not one bit about my mama. You know what I'm saying? Some man ran up on my mama like a bus stop one time when she was in her younger years, and he wouldn't let nobody stop because he kept trying to convince the people around her that he was her man and that she was just trying to get away from him. And he is literally attacking her. And he's like, no, that's okay. We're just having a relationship. My mom ain't know this man from ever. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So somebody finds a hold of my dad somehow. How in the 70s, I don't fucking know. But my dad spins this corner on 2 wheels and his hot rod, runs this man up an alleyway and pins him between 2 garbage cans and tries to kill this man about my mom. You understand what I'm saying? So growing up, watching how my father stepped about my mom, and even to a point, stepped about me. I remember high school, I had my own place, my senior year of high school, and I had these roommates, and the roommate's boyfriend tried to get with me on the low, and I told her, like, get your what's your little boyfriend think we running here? Like, get your man in order. Right. And so then, of course, to save face, she's like, I told him to do that to see where this stopped. Like, but he got mad that I told her. So that's how you know that it wasn't a setup, right? Yeah. And so then we started arguing, and if you know me, I'm not no punk on no church. I'm not gonna back down. You, him, her, them, I don't care. If y'all gonna jump me, let's get it done. Let's just get it off our chest now and get it over with. But I called my dad, and he hears the commotion. And I forget what the man said, but it triggered me. And I threw the phone down, right? And went running. It's like, well, let's get it busting there. Let's do it. And my dad pulls up, for him to kicks my door in, and comes in the house going to work with a baseball bat. Like, the fuck?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm accustomed to seeing, right? So when I got my husband, was quiet. He was a man of you knew my husband.
Yeah.
He was a man of very few words. He didn't have a whole lot to say his piece and keep it pushing.
Mm-hmm.
I would get in, have disagreements with people, and I would be like, yo, so, and he said, and he did, and he's like, so stay away from him. Don't go, like, it's a simple solution. You don't got to be around that person. Like, you don't have to do it. I'm like, so you're not going to say nothing? And he disrespected me for blah, 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 blah. For what? And he's like, and then what? And then when he don't listen, now what? He got to die when all you got to do is stay away from him? Like, that doesn't make...
See, men have
what you want. So
men have the possibility of war. There's always a possibility of war.
And that was where he was at. So I got to kill this man.
If I war, I might have to kill him.
So,
right? So as a man, sometimes you don't want to jump off something if you know they really didn't hurt your girl. Because if you say something to them and they say something, you're not going to back down. At that point, you got to save face. So a lot of times men are choosy about if it's not a real volatile situation that she wasn't really in trouble. They don't want to jump on that because it could turn into
respect. We came to a point like you just want me to beat up every person that you have a disagreement with. Like, I'm not going to do that.
So there was in these type of conversations, I guess this is a situation where conversation works. When you're a couple. Me and my friend went to Baltimore, and we stayed in an Airbnb, and the Airbnb guest was like, y'all can park anywhere in the parking lot, y'all can park. We park, we go out the next morning, about to go get breakfast. Car gone. What? So my friend off top, he's boiling. He's already mad because you told us we could park here. Now, I had everything in there. I left my work computer in there. So that just made the tension a little bit worse for him. And I'm like, we're good. Like, we gonna figure out where it is. We called a police station. I'm like, I think somebody stole our rental car. So that's a whole nother reason for him to be upset.
Yeah.
They were like, no, they towed it.
Oh, wow.
Towed it to where? So we had to get an Uber and we get to the place where it was towed to, and the lady there, she pissed me off. Yeah. So now we're both hot. And I was like, you know what? We both can't be hot. I was like, pick, who's gonna be hot, me or you? It's like, you can be mad. And I'm like, all right, cool. So, I mean, we ended up getting it straightened out, but I think that goes to, like, both people can't be. And I think that's
why my relationship worked out the way it did, because I was the hot-headed and he was the more cooler, calmer. And that's of the two. So I'd be ready to go to.
I just like when the conversations can have a little bit of resolution, because I feel like if me and that person wasn't able to conversate like how we were, and we both were hot tempered, like it could have ended up so much worse.
See, I've been in a situation where I didn't respond enough, and in other situations where I over-responded. So sometimes for guys, it's for me, I'll speak for myself, it's not always easy to know when you got to learn. When I was younger, I made the mistake. Now that I'm older, I'm a little more patient. I'm a little bit more wiser with my choices. So when I was younger, I brought up the scenario about the Greyhound, right? She wanted me to smash the boy, right? Different situation, a different time, I was a little more aggressive, right? Same girl I was dating. This is when I was younger, in my 20s, right? And this time I learned from the Greyhound situation. I was like, oh.
She probably was like,
we'll never be here again.
Yeah.
Right?
But then me once. Listen, she probably was like, you didn't have to do all that.
So look, how do you know? Don't fool me once. Don't fool me once. So somebody got up in her face. Somebody got up in her face. Boy, I came out like the mob squad. Back with the cane, pow, cool. Right? Dude in the hospital. She broke up with me.
Crazy.
She said that I went too hard on the guy. Right?
But again, so
it's like, well, hold on here. You wanted me to say something, and then when I say something, it's too much. So Yeah, you got to
I think
the
it's
next
all-
relationship, I'm like, give me a level.
It's a
1
conversation.
through 10.
Right.
So, like I said,
How you want me to
it's a
respond?
conversation. It's just a like, you got it or you want me to get it.
Yeah.
And I, with my friend, I was happy that we were able to have our conversation and be like, who's on them?
See, it was a heat of the moment, so
And as
the guy stood up. I had to react. The gentleman said, I ain't going to do. And my girl, you ain't going to stand up. You ain't tough. And my girl here, and you going to stand up like you finna do something? Ta, 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 ta. So there wasn't time to really be like, girl, what should I do? I reacted, right? But then it was overkill a little bit. She was like, oh, that was too much. So a lot of times when the feelings are involved, you think you want to gotta do something.
You can't control somebody's response.
That's what I'm saying.
so-
Every action got a reaction. So, I mean, unfortunately, that was one of those situations where.
But I handle business, y'all. So no, I'll handle business from mine. If you come down to it, I'm gonna have to handle business.
But back to like emasculation, I think in some conversations too. I don't know if it's just delivery, but I feel like some men, I guess, take delivery or tone or what you're saying to them as you emasculating them, and it's like, no, my God, like I see how you move. I'm just telling you how you move based off of my observation.
Yeah.
So, like in those situations,
Like an example, like per se.
I have an example, but I can't say it without the person kind of knowing.
I see what you're saying.
You don't gotta drop a name.
You gotta put everybody out there.
Even if I don't drop the name, the situation it's more in.
Because I'll tell a situation in a heartbeat. I won't name drop it. I'll tell it.
Accountability. Like I'm gonna you may feel like I'm emasculating you, but I'm trying to get you to understand the lack of accountability you're taking in your own situation.
That's tough.
I'll give an example. Like if somebody's in a relationship, a long-term relationship for a while, and they break up with a person, and now they're trying to be in a relationship with you, and you're like, listen, I'm not saying that I don't want to be around you, I don't want to spend time with you, but I don't want to be in a relationship with you. Mm-hmm. And their thought process is, oh, you're doing this because you don't like me or you want to be with another man.
Yeah.
So there's that feeling of emasculation right there. You want to be with another man. Like, I'm not good enough for you. But that's not what I said.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it as the whole picture. I feel like
tactic.
you personally need to heal.
As long as you didn't bring that other man to the party where he's gonna be at, and he got to see that, then he.
But the thing is,
but just telling him, I don't think he should. He should be able to handle that. I don't think. That's
no, and it's just in general. I'm saying, I don't want to be with nobody in general. I'm not being in a relationship in general with nobody.
Yeah.
So for you to think in your mind hey, you don't want to be in a relationship with me because you want to be in a relationship with someone else. That's not what I said.
In his mind,
but that's what he heard.
Yeah, but that's what he heard.
There's always going to be a case of what I said versus what I heard. What was said versus what I heard. You understand what I'm saying? And that was how he interpreted what you said. It's instead of you being you don't want to be with me, just say you don't want to be with me. I didn't say that. I didn't say I didn't like you. I didn't say I don't want to date you. I said that I don't want to make it an official monogamous situation right now, especially since I'm not clear of another certain situation. You know what I'm saying? As long as this mess is not cleaned up, I'm not going to engage officially in some new mess.
Right. That's probably his fear.
And I think that's what he doesn't understand. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's going to be an uphill battle for you for a while. I'm getting some people to understand that until this paperwork is final over here, I'm not going to be interested in aligning myself officially with any person.
And it wasn't just on my end. I feel like it's on their end too, because and I can't speak for that person. You just getting out of a relationship, not even 6 months ago. Now you're ready to hop back into something serious.
Because some people,
to me, I'm just
6 months isn't. I mean, to be away from somebody is a decent amount of time.
But what if they're not away from that? Them and that person still kind of are in the same circles.
But you can't control it. We're in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's small as hell.
Yeah, city's
that's inevitable in this particular arena and atmosphere. You understand what I'm saying? Furthermore, just because the relationship didn't work out doesn't mean that we can't be on friendly terms.
Correct.
that doesn't mean that. Some people are better off than being committed
in a relationship.
There's a difference, right? You know what I'm saying? So, but that's a level of maturity that some people have to arrive at. Some people never arrived at that. Some people are never going to be okay with that. Like, so you was in her and you think you're going to be friends with her? I'm like, that's crazy. Or he was in you and you think you're about to be friends with him? I'm like, absolutely not. That's not your fucking friend, Buki.
I'm like, change the angle of the conversation slightly. Not even in the
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
What do y'all think finances fit when it comes to male and women and emasculation?
So for like it has variables, right? If you're dealing with a person that never had shit and now they got some shit, you know, it was like a person. For example, I worked in law enforcement, right? A good portion of people that go into that field because they want some level of control, right? Same principle. I've never had money, but now I'm clocking dollars. At least what I think is dollars. You know what I'm saying? I went from eating sugar bread to being able to make double-decker sandwiches up in here. What you're not about to do is come in here telling me a motherfucking thing, and I can make these double-decker sandwiches. You got me fucked up. I was on Section 8, and now I'm paying full mortgage or paying full rent.
And now I'm straight. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
The roles just changed.
I'm looking good. Got an attached garage. Like, you get out of here.
So about the role changing. Let's say one day you came home and imagine you went from, let's say you was making 5 figures, and then you're making 6 figures.
So let me
like, do you automatically like, look here now, I wear pants? That's a role change.
No, and I don't think that's. And so again, we have to go to a level of maturity. We have to consider what a person's pathology and background looks like. Who raised them? What were the foundations they were raised on? So you understand what I'm saying? Some people can overcome. You know what I'm saying? They're found, and some people can't. Some people, it was so in them. It's like, I'm not dependent on no man. You're not going to tell me what to do. It's my shit. You live with me.
All of a sudden, he was taking care of her.
Fuck, how many bills you pay? And you don't have to. You can be paying everything, and you could come into her world and pay for everything.
Finance episode. And her sister and my brother was on that episode. And I learned so much from that episode. But the one thing that even off the episode, because my brother and my sister, who's a teacher, they were discussing it, and my brother was like, honestly, it don't matter what you make or what she make, y'all put y'all books out. So each other knows what each other make, and you take a percentage, an even percentage.
That's not how I live my household. My husband
and
one now.
Put it in an account for whatever.
That's the whole conversation. How to do that,
right?
If we agree to do it that way,
but some people don't even want to do that. Some men don't want that structure.
Some men are like, I wish you
it can be an uncomfortable conversation. I'm gonna be honest.
It doesn't have to be uncomfortable to make sure that the finances are balanced. But what has to happen, though, like I said, I take myself. I had a full career when I got with my husband. My husband wanted me to take a more domesticated role and allow him to provide financially. And if it generally don't, okay, I don't got to get up and go and slide down hillsides and fight crackheads. Right. You know, eventually that did begin to take a toll on me, but still, through it all, that's what he wanted. He wanted to be the sole provider. Now, I could go out and get get a job here, get a job there, or work in a career field that wasn't necessarily law enforcement or whatever. And he really had no beef with that, but what he didn't necessarily need from me was to be a contributor to our household. Now, he had a number in his mind that all our accounts had to stay at. You know what I'm saying? A house kitty that had to stay above us. Now, if it slipped, and for some reason, because we also covered our businesses, so if something took a hit, sometimes he would look at me like, "Listen, this is what's going on. This is where we're at a deficit." You understand? I'm just telling you so that if we have to scale back, and I'm like, we ain't got to scale back. I can give you that.
I don't know if you remember.
I can give you that.
About what he was doing with her is letting her know the plan. So if something crashed and burned, she wasn't like, "Oh, what the fuck?"
And so I would be able to cover that. You know what I'm saying? And and sometimes he'd be like, "Okay," and sometimes he'd be like, "No, I'm just telling you what's up." So when we can't go do XYZ, you know what I'm saying, this month, why we can't do XYZ this month. And that took some time and some learning from the dude, because some stuff he was just suffering in silence. you know what I'm saying, of what was going on, but his attitude around the house was rocky. Like, why you acting?
I would prefer to talk it out that way.
Yeah.
From a male perspective, locker room talk, right? There are different kinds of women. So the one type of woman wants to know, so that if something happens to you, you're just not in shock. That, okay, why didn't you tell me? I could have been helping. I could have had your back, right? That's one kind of woman. There's another kind of woman, though, that sees that as complaining, or you're doing too much talking and nagging. This might not be you, though. I'm just talking about women I've encountered.
Yes,
I'm being honest. They take it like, I don't want to know all that. You handle all that, and just don't be telling me I don't want to know all these details, and you make me seem like a whiner.
I'm trying when the lights is out.
I'll give you one perfect example. Okay, I had a gentleman. He complained to me. He's like, "Look, I'm dating this girl. I'm taking her kids to practice and everything. She's at work late. I'm coming. Her kids were latchkey kids. I'll come let her kid in the house, do homework with them, and I'm taking them to practice. Right? So this is what the gentleman said. He said, these ain't his kids. He's dating a girl, right? And he's playing stepdad.
I tracked it. Right? He's not a stepdad. He is mom's boyfriend.
Mom's boyfriend.
Right.
This
He's Mr. Charles.
Right. Mr. Charles is letting mom's kids in the house. She's trusting him to open the door for
mom. Got a lot of faith in Mr. Charles.
This happened. So look. So anyway, he's there. He's like, okay. He's like, well, I'm not going to just take over the house. So he called her like, yo, what do you want me to make for them? Like, what do you make for them? Right? She like, you don't know what to do? I got to tell you everything? Hold up here. I'm helping you out. So there's different type of women out there. Some women don't want to know all the details. They want you to just handle things. I'm just speaking on a situation that's real.
No, but then again, but she want him to just in the current condition of their just relationship, according to your story, her expectations was too goddamn high.
Right. That's what it was.
But she's still a human, and so he got to deal with her.
He don't got to deal with her because he's his boyfriend.
He's just a boyfriend. He can go.
He can walk anytime he need to leave.
He don't have no time.
If he cares for her,
he can still go.
He can still. Sometimes you gotta love him enough to let him go.
Yeah.
For real.
So is that
sometimes you do?
Emasculation? She emasculated him?
She definitely disrespected him. But she disrespected herself.
She did.
Because he walked away eventually. This dude left. He did leave.
There's I know some women out there that would have heard this story and not gave a fuck what she said to that man. They'd be like, what type of woman? What type of woman?
First of all, you're not being in the house with my kids by yourself.
First of all, we don't know how long this relationship has been in thing. So this could be years. That could be 10 years in.
See, and this is different personalities.
But hold on, I know some women that would have been like, what type of woman, first of all, didn't have a crock pot on before she left for work, or didn't cook everything on Sunday so that the kids had their choice during the week. All they got to do is maybe microwave a little this, a little that, a little this, a little that. You understand what I'm saying? Why is it on this man?
Don't have after school snacks.
What type
for these babies?
And sometimes some kids is too snacked. Okay, there's too many snacks in here. They need food. We were past the snacking hour. Right. So what I'm saying is, I know some women that would have wanted to know, like, why was this man responsible for figuring out what show kids was going to eat for dinner? What type of shit? I know some women that would have said that. Now, and I'm not saying that that's
was that a good man or not a good man?
He was a good man for caring enough. First of all, he gave her. He don't know. He may or may not know these kids' dietary restrictions.
The guy had dated the girl for like 4 years, I think.
But still, does he know their dietary restrictions? Does he know what their allergies are? You know, some kids. These kids might be allergic to red dye number 4. If he don't know that, he ain't gonna cook in.
To me, that's why
Kool-Aid and shit.
Now they that's why he was calling. To me, that's why he was calling.
She was out of bounds.
I'm going to say based on your story, he sounds like he's a responsible guy. I'm not going to let your kids be out here just being in the crib doing what I'm going to make sure they get to practice while you at work so you ain't got to stress about it. That's real stand up.
Him calling her to ass, but he would have done a lot of
It's real stand up.
So
would
is
have done a lot of
what she doing? Emasculating him, cutting his legs off.
She disrespected herself
because you don't want to go
he caught
overboard
stray
like they're his kids. You know what I'm saying? From what I got out of it.
At this point,
he might as well be like his kids, right?
he was definitely a guardian.
Yeah.
So he should be more aggressive in conversation with her.
I'm not gonna say
not
aggressive.
Never aggressive.
I wouldn't have said it would have been due a rebuttal at some point. Like, listen, hey, I called you today as a courtesy to ask you what you had in mind for your children for dinner. Your children for dinner.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So I can make sure that was handled for you.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of you respecting where I was coming from, you tried to bite my head off like I'm an incompetent adult.
So when you get in those situations,
I wasn't too incompetent to unlock this door and let him in. But it was definitely a conversation.
It's worth a conversation, but so I look at it in all perspectives. You called her at work. You don't know what her work day is like. Right. She could be taking work out.
He said 4 years, first of all.
Well,
yeah, they've been there for years, so he pretty much knows.
But again, if you're calling me at work and I'm having a bad day, you're my target.
That's terrible.
Regardless if you want to be my target.
That's terrible.
But I'm giving an example.
Okay.
I'm giving an example.
That's not okay.
That would be emasculating.
To anybody.
So if you're looking for examples of what like if he's calling you because they're not his kids, and he's going about to think about it. If I'm at work and a lady friend of mine is like, I got your back, boy. I'm a, you know what I'm saying? I know your son don't get out. And you're not going to be there. I'm going to let him in the house. If I've known her for 4 years and I trust her, right? And she let my son in the house and she called me like, what do you do for after school snack for him? How can I get mad? I can't even visualize a situation where I could get mad, actually.
It's not a situation.
I'm trying to figure this out.
So again, these are these situations that I'm talking about where it has to die down. Like the behavior has to die down.
I just said that it was due a rebuttal at some point. It was due a conversation like sidebar, like, hey, Carl, listen up. I called. I just want to let you know that today, when I called you, or yesterday when I called you, the kids eating, that was a courtesy to see what you had in mind for them kids for dinner. Because I don't know. I don't know if you already had something in the fridge that you had in mind with the Tupperware for them to heat up and eat. Or, you know what I mean, if you left pizza, money, you know what I'm saying, or if you left pizza money or what, I don't know that. So I'm asking you how you wanted me to handle it, because I've been to order them some pizza and you come here like, wow, there was pot roast in the fridge.
Right.
But
or in the oven.
That gives her, but again, that will also give her a chance to be like, you know what, I had a bad day at work. Yeah. I might have took it out on you unnecessarily. Mm-hmm. We'll work on a different plan.
That doesn't sound 4 years in, right? To me, I'm not giving you, I'm having a bad day at work and I took it out on you excuse. I'm not doing it. Because, again, you know what I'm saying? Be mindful. At that point, y'all been together long enough for you to be mindful of your target source.
So
I'm not going for it.
Women having to be in the work field.
And she'd immediately text back like, my bad, that was wrong.
Right.
I was frustrated. That wasn't for you, babe.
Like you said, they get more frustration because they're in the work field now, just like any employee, right? So how does a woman now navigate that? Being that,
hey Greg, how you?
Hey Greg, you want to talk about emasculation?
They got to still deal with the same thing men got to deal with.
Want to talk about emasculation?
But they're still expected to be womanly, be nurturing to their man when they come home and not emasculate him. I can see it can be difficult for women because we're forcing them to go out in the work field just like men. And they got to come home and still be turned into a compassionate woman now in the house when they just had to be competing in the world of capitalism. Now they got to come home and wear a different hat. And I respect that a little bit, but I don't give it an excuse for women to emasculate men. I do respect what I got to go through.
It's not an excuse, but again, it's also taking it. And again, like you said, we're in the work field like you are. Yeah. So imagine me going into work and for whatever reason, I'm getting ringed on all day. All I want to do is come home and relax like you. Mm-hmm. But I may have to take the kids to practice. I may have to cook.
Why?
I may have to wash. You know what I mean? Like,
why? So young.
But that's what I'm saying. If there's not that conversation, like that might be the expectation of the household because I am the woman. And I don't want to emasculate you by being like, well, damn, you don't want to do you don't do shit around here, but go to work.
And if you can bring it up in the right, and if you have a good conversations with your partner regularly,
Right.
I think that's the best case scenario.
Right. Absolutely. Let's do a conversation, especially if both of you have to go to work.
Yeah,
Say, listen, we both go pull these 8s and 12s. We both go pull these 8s, 10s, and 12s, right?
Yes.
You know what I mean? So if that's the case, if you beat me to the house.
Yeah. To me, these heartfelt conversations are so romantic and sexy. It's so grown. When you get with your partner and really share with them your real feelings about things that could affect their future, and you're compassionately coming from your heart, right? To me, that is so grown up. And some people have anxiety about that because when they grew up, they never got to see their mother do that with a man. Or even vice versa. They never got to see their father treat a woman nice. So they don't actually know how to do it. So instead of admitting, I don't even know how to treat a woman nice, they just, when you bring it up, they just deflect. Kind of like a kid when you ask him to read in class and he can't read, so he just be bad. It's a shame there's a lot of men out here who never watched their dad.
He don't know he triggered me, Loki.
Romance. This is real talk, though. They never seen their dad romance their mom. They don't know how to open the door. They don't know how to put their coat on the floor so she don't walk on the rain. They don't know how to be on the right side of the street and push her on the other side. They don't know these things.
You're right.
And in the same light, there's women who think like to talk tough to a guy is okay. They don't know that that's emasculating.
I think a lot of that is a defense mechanism so that you are setting a precedence where like you're not going to walk all over me. And you know what I'm saying? And I think that some people, that is a literal defense mechanism. Like, you know what I'm saying? You come across aggressive because that's the only way you know to show toughness. Is if you're like, wow. Right. You understand what I'm saying? You know what I mean? There's a lot of power in silence.
I'm an example of that. I think a lot of stuff comes, but if you get me, like, I'm like
the teddy bear. You turn into a teddy bear.
Yeah, like.
But at first you're like, yeah. And rightfully so, to protect yourself. So this was a really great conversation.
Well, like I said, I think a lot of it can come across but a lot of it is a defense mechanism. Like, you know what I'm saying? When you meet a girl, she's like, wow.
Yeah. If you can get past those defenses, potentially that might be the woman for you.
Could be.
If you can get past these defenses.
You know what I mean? But you have to be willing to have the tough conversation.
But again, I feel like sometimes too, and I'm not going to throw it on guys, but like sometimes you do say stuff that's very triggering to us and you don't know that. Because these conversations are not, there's no dating, there's no courting, there's not really those stages where you really get to know a person and have those conversations. Like when I was 12, such happened to me. So it's very hurtful and triggering when these things happen. I know one of the things that I'll say is triggering to me is when somebody does something and they're like, oh, you better appreciate it. Because I'm like, motherfucker, you didn't have to do this shit. I could have did this shit on my own. I know you didn't tell me I need to appreciate something. But again, that comes from being triggered and having people telling me like, oh, I got this for you, so you need to appreciate it.
I'll hit you right back with that same word, better? Is that what you really meant to say? Is I better?
And that's what I was like, I don't even... Like, my thing is, like, if you're going to do something...
Be gracious. As grateful as you want me to be just as gracious.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want you telling me I need to be grateful for nothing. I need to appreciate nothing. If you want to do it, just do it off of the spirit of you doing it.
I'll ask that question, though. Did you do it for me because you wanted to? Because you care? Because you love me? Or did you do it so that you can use it as leverage or manipulation later? Or did you do it so you can throw it back at me? Yeah. My father's the king of it. My father is the king of, hey, and while you're take my such and such, and you can borrow me, girl, come get this chainsaw, and cut your trees out. And then when he wants them, you're like, oh, I can't do it. Like, oh, but when I left you my chainsaw, you're like, oh, so did you lend me the chainsaw because you love me and you wanted me to be able to get this tree down? Or did you lend me the chainsaw so you can use it to manipulate me to get in your way later?
One thing that really, just to share with y'all, that really emasculated me, made me feel emasculated, is when I was younger, I didn't know how to fix a lot of things around the house. So I was dating a particular girl, and she came in the house, and she's like, you can't fix this. You can't even fix this. Such and such. I think, actually, I went to visit her, and I tried to fix something, and I didn't do a good job of it, right? So she called a handyman, right? And the handyman came over while I was there and was fixing it. I felt so trash. I felt like trash.
So
I'm like, Dad, she might as well be effing the handyman.
So
I can't even.
I guess that comes with a level
As
of
a man,
maturity.
that's real though. That's real.
It is, but I think it also comes with a level of maturity and like I'll pay somebody to do
a lot of them.
something.
They're like, hey, yo,